Hello guys, in this video you will see what is the top 10 best ground units in update 14. Every units in this video are all obtainable and not from trading. I do want to know what you guys think is the top 10 best ground units in this update 14. Remember to subscribe and like, and with that being said, in no particular order, the first unit is Homuna Time Traveler. Homuna is one of the best ground unit, with her being one of the best units to have, especially with her overpowered time stop and amazing stats at later upgrades. Homuna Time Traveler stats at max upgrade and max level are 115,142.85 damage with her SPA at 6 seconds, making her damage per second at 19,190.48, which is insanely strong as she will be able to hit both air and ground enemies with her attack and ability. And at the last ability, you can activate her time stop every 15 seconds. How to get Homuna Time Traveler is through the Witch City Wall Purge's secret portal, which you can craft using 4 time traveling shards, and you can get these time traveling shards through the tier 5 and above Witch City portals. The best trait you can have on Homuna Time Traveler is unique, as you can place 3, although traits that I would rather have on her is Godspeed and Divine, as will give her more DPS. If you did not know, you can sell and replace and spam her time stop ability, which is insanely strong for tournaments. Homuna's Time Traveler's damage type is physical and dark. Alright, next unit is Shigaruko's Symbol of Fear. Shigaraki is still one of the best ground and support units in this update 14. Kiroto's Symbol of Fear stats at max level and max upgrade are 24,452 damage with his SPA at 7.5 seconds, making his damage per second at 9,940.39, which is insanely strong for a ground and support unit. Kiroto does DK damage over 3 ticks and up to 18 ticks at max upgrade, which DK stops regeneration enemies, and his DK damage doing 120% true damage at later upgrades. DK will be good against magic resistance enemies as he is a magic unit. Kiroto is one of the hardest units to evolve, as you have to continuously defeat the My Hero Academia Legend stages in this update 14, which are quite difficult to do if you're playing them solo. Kiroto is meta for leaderboard runs, especially with his full AoE DK, and it will also deal true damage, which is insanely strong. Okay, next unit is Loudroom. Law is one of the best ground and support unit in this update 14, especially with its OP ability. Loudroom stats at max upgrade and max level are 150,141 damage with his SPA at 5.9 seconds, making his damage per second at 25,447.62, which is incredibly good for a ground and support unit, as he has an ability at placement called Shamble, where when activated, it teleports enemies back half of Loudroom's range. If Loudroom has 10 range, Shambles will teleport enemies half of that range. The Shamble ability affects air, ground enemies, and bosses, which is insanely strong. Loudroom is incredibly easy to evolve, as you just have to defeat the puppet portal, which are easy to defeat even if you're soloing the portal. The best trait you can have on Loudroom is unique, as he is at 3 placement, and alternative traits you can have on him is Sniper, so he will be able to teleport back more enemies with his huge range. Loudroom's damage types are Magic and Aqua. Okay, next unit is Aizo Final. Aizen is still one of the best magic ground unit in this update 14, especially Aizen will be able to hit both air and ground enemies and be a full AoE at later upgrades. Aizen is one of the hardest units to evolve because of how his evolution works, as it will require you kills and worthy souls. Aizen is meta magic ground units for story mode acts, infinite modes, infinity castle, and leaderboard runs. Aizen final stats at max upgrade and max level are 249,567 damage with his SPA at 15 seconds, making his damage per second at 16,637.8. If you are ever doing leaderboard runs, then I recommend trying to get unique traits, since he is one of the best units to have unique on when going for leaderboard runs. Finally, Aizen also has a manual ability called Kanzen Seimin, which causes the opponents to be pushed back and shielding your base. Sheesh. Okay, next unit is Kirito Duel. Kirito is one of the newest units added in this update 14, and he seems to be one of the best physical ground unit in this update 14. Kirito Duel stats at max upgrade and max level are 227,340.41 damage with his SPA at 9 seconds, making his damage per second at 25,260.05. This is considered insanely good for Kirito, especially he does multi-hit at later upgrades, which he will do well against shield enemies. It is unfortunate that he is not hybrid as he is purely a ground unit. To evolve the new Sword Art Online units, you will be needing to defeat the brand new Legend stages and virtual dungeon bosses. Kirito Duel damage types are Physical and Storm. Alright, next unit is Flamingo Awakened. Flamingo Awakened is the best magic ground unit with the highest damage per second in this update 14. Flamingo Awakened stats on max upgrade and max level are 336,140 damage with his SPA at 7.5 seconds, making his damage per second at 44,818.66, which is incredibly overpowered. Despite of him not being able to hit air enemies, Flamingo is still extremely overpowered for a ground unit. How to get Flamingo Awakened is by defeating the new Puppet Island Birdcage, the Puppet Master, where the host will be guaranteed to get the unit where the other players will have a slight chance upon getting the Secret Portal. To get the Secret Portal is by defeating the normal Puppet Portal, which can be obtained through the Puppet Island Infinite Mode. Okay, next unit is Heathcliff Admin. Heathcliff is one of the newest units added in this update 14, and he is one of the best ground unit with his stats at later upgrades is insanely strong. Heathcliff's stats at max upgrade and max level are 294,525.48 damage with his SPA at 10 seconds, making his damage per second at 29,452.55, which is insanely overpowered. Despite of him not being able to hit air enemies, Heathcliff is still insanely strong for a ground unit. How to get Heathcliff is through the special banner. To evolve the new Sword Art Online units, you will be needing to defeat the brand new Legend stages of virtual dungeon bosses. Heathcliff Admin's damage traps are Physical and Fire. Alright, next unit is Pride the One. Eskenor is still the best physical ground unit in this update 14 with his insanely overpowered late game stats, with Eskenor having one of the biggest full AoE circle and having a low SPA cooldown and insanely strong damage per second. Pride the One stats on max upgrade and max level are 57,525.41 damage, following his SPA at 6.5 seconds, making his damage per second at 8,850. But with Sunshine passive max, his new damage per second is 19,821. The best trait you can have on Pride the One is Unique, and alternative traits you can have on him is Double Snipers and Divine. Pride the One's damage types are Physical and Fire. I only recommend to bring Pride the One in waves that are 20 or longer, but he is extremely useful for Infinity Castle. Okay, next unit is Stain Hero Slayer, who is one of the newest units added in this update 14, and he is one of the best DPS ground unit as the ability that he will get at later upgrades is extremely overpowered. Stain Hero Slayer stats on max upgrade and max level are 79,298.54 damage plus 23,789.56 bleeding damage over 3 ticks, with his SPA at 6.5 seconds, making his damage per second at 15,859.7 with bleeding. It may not seem a lot, but after I explain what his ability do, you will be convinced that he is one of the best ground unit. How Stain Hero Slayer works with his ability is whenever Blood Curdle is activated, Stain's damage will deal 3 times more damage to every bleeding enemy inside his range. Ability can create 4.5 times of Stain's current damage, as well as it stuns enemies for 2 seconds. His ability is not global, which technically you can spam it when all 3 are placed down. There is a 10 seconds cooldown on enemies who have been affected by the ability, and the ability cooldown is 20 seconds. Stain Hero Slayer will be extremely good when pairing with bleeding units, especially Unohana. Even though she is no longer obtainable, you can only get her through trades, and she will be essential to have, especially she can hit air enemies at later upgrades, which Blood Curdle will attack any enemies that has bleeding, so maybe Anj and Levi would also be good pairing with Stain Hero Slayer. Stain Hero Slayer's damage types are Physical and Dark. Alright, next unit is Tango God of Flashiness. Tengen is one of the best physical ground units in this update 14, since at later upgrades, he will be able to hit both ground and air enemies, which is insanely overpowered. Tango God of Flashiness stats at max level and max upgrade are 224,526 damage with his SPA at 11 seconds, making his damage per second at 20,411.45, which is incredibly strong, especially with his full AoE. Despite of Tengo having such a terrible range, the unit is still very strong, especially at later upgrades. He will become a hybrid unit, making him attack both air and ground enemies, as well as having the nail relic equipped on Tengo God of Flashiness will be the best relic to have equipped. Okay, next unit is Mammy Holy. Mammy is one of the best magic ground unit in this update 14, as at later upgrades she will be able to hit both air and ground enemies. Mammy Holy stats at max upgrade and max level are 193,285 damage with her SPA at 9 seconds, making her damage per second at 21,476.15, which is insanely good, especially she has a large AoE circle which she will be able to attack more enemies than the other units. And with her being a multi-hit at later upgrades, making Mammy strong against shield enemies. Mammy Holy's damage types are magic and light. Alright, next unit is Luffy Gear 4. Luffy is one of the best ground units in this update 14, especially he is extremely cheap to max upgrade, and at later upgrades he will be able to hit both air and ground enemies, which is pretty useful for Infinity Castle. Luffy Gear 4 stats at max upgrade and max level are 25,719 damage with his SPA at 6.4 seconds, making his damage per second at 32,143.59, which is incredibly overpowered, as you can place 4 of Luffy Gear 4. Luffy Gear 4 at later upgrades, he will be able to hit both ground and air enemies, which is insanely strong, although he is no longer a multi-hit at his last ability, so he will struggle against shield enemies. Luffy Gear 4 is incredibly easy to evolve, as you just have to continuously defeat the puppet portal, which are easy to defeat even if you're soloing the portal. The best trait you can have on Luffy Gear 4 is Divine, as he is 4 placement, although if you are going to be using Luffy Gear 4 in Infinity Castle, then the best trait you can have on him is Unique, which Luffy is insanely strong for Infinity Castle, especially on how cheap he is to max upgrade. Luffy Gear 4's damage type is Physical. That was everything for this video on the top 10 best ground units in update 14. I hope this video helped you in some sort of way. Remember to subscribe and like, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.